Hello. Good evening.
Northwest Star.
I'm Robin Turner. I've worked with the Manics for many years now, and long-time friend of Kieron, which is why we look so similar. It's osmosis after a while. So did anyone get invited here as a +1 on a Friday night? Let's go to the cinema, go and see a film in the Picturehouse. It's a really nice place, the seats are comfy. Anyone? You all knew what you were. So let's get to it. First question is,
Get this party started!
I mean, you're ready. So whose idea was it to make the film and to create that?
Well, it started off as a discussion between me and Wire about this is never going to happen again, so it should, at some point, just some of it should be filmed. Not as like a concert film or anything like that, it was like a record of just that it had happened, shall we say. And then I came up to Manchester for the Albert Hall shows and had a little chat with Wire beforehand. I brought a little tiny Canon 550D camera with me, and Wire just said, have a look at the crowd, kind of feel the vibe, all that kind of stuff. And
I never say vibe.
that's true. That's true.
My exact words were, as long as it's on one fucking camera and you don't get on stage.
That's right. That's the vibe. Though I did get on stage, but I actually had to hide under the camouflage. And on the first, so what happened was the first night, it was mesmerising and it was absolutely intense and everything that you wanted it to be, and it just felt like an experience that I'd never experienced anything like that at a gig before, and never since, unless I go to the Oasis gigs, obviously. And so on the second night, careful. So on the second night, I said, look, I think I've got this idea. I think I should film it. I'll film it, but with one camera, and every night I'll just film one member of the band, just focus then on one person, and then I'll just work my way around the show. So the first night, second night I did Sean, which so it's hidden under the camouflage and all that kind of stuff, and I thought I got a good position. But I forgot all about the dry ice and the kind of like the lights from Colin. So basically the first thing that happened was, as the band came on, Colin hit the dry ice and I froze my left hand. And I had just dry ice in my eyes, so I couldn't see for like about 4 of the songs. Hence why it got a bit wobbly. But that's how it started. It wasn't kind of made as, I think we both kind of shared the whole hatred of like high def concert films with like cranes and fucking steady cams and like track and dolly kind of stuff. This wasn't a show that was going to have that.
Yeah, it would have taken you out of. It would have taken
the zone.
It would have helped take the audience out of the zone as well, which is the one thing you don't want to do when filming a gig like that, which, as you can see from the audience, it's so special to those people who are in the room.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, that was the thing. It was just swinging back from the audience to the band. There was just this kind of watching a weird connection going on, and it was like almost like sometimes the fans were singing back to the band and all that kind of stuff. It was just like
I mean, they were very strict parameters.
They were,
which was good.
Yeah, I mean, I pitched like it was going to be if Gaspar Noé directed a concert film, this would be Enter the Void for concert films, which I think I've achieved. So I didn't want it. I think we also agreed we didn't want it to be an easy watch at all. It was about kind of ramming somebody's head into like a bowl of water and just holding it there and keeping you right there, which is what the album's about, isn't it?
Well, it was really fucking hard to play on stage. So, I mean, I enjoyed watching the film much more than having to do the gig.
So can I go back to the time of the gigs? And if you remember, it was the year that Futurology came out. So rewind the film that just came out in the late 2013, and then Futurology summer 2014. And at that point, you were kind of, things were, Manic stock was pretty high at that point. Futurology was probably the best reviewed record that you'd had for, 10, 15 years. It was like, incredibly well received record. But rather than go out that autumn, winter and tour Futurology, something made you decide to do this instead.
I think it was just the last time we could have ever done it, sort of physically, and James having to sing all those words, remember them all, play that guitar at the same time. It's such a disciplined record to play live. That's why we struggle to play songs from it, because you just got to be so on it. We rehearsed, really, for us, a lot
Twice.
than I did. It's just, you're trying to play those bass lines with a low slung bass. It is a fucking pain in the ass. You just, we practiced faster every day for the Suede tour, and when it came to it, it just didn't feel like we had it. So we did on that 10 years ago. It just felt like that was the one time we did.
Yeah, because you see so many people now playing, older artists playing kind of things like that, and they'll have like a vision, an auto cue, lyrics auto cue. That's not James's technique or something like that. There was like a lot of revision and a lot of learning.
And obviously we decided 100% right from the minute to do it as a three-piece. That there was no, extra musicians. People forget we did another fucking set after that as well. So I really resented Wayne and Lord having the first half off and getting paid the same money. So I was full back on my psyche going to play that Holy Bible. But you did, I've said it before, but you kind of got to get into that. Transport yourself back to kind of a real sense of pure animosity to play those songs. Discipline. It's just not the usual way we play in many respects.
Well, the whole thing is so wrapped up in a kind of, it's like the originally, the way you looked, you'd gone from kind of, sort of, any kind of androgyny had gone, and it was like this kind of four-man militia. You looked like a kind of, a miniature army, and that's replicated to an extent with these gigs. Certainly with the look of the stage. The camo was part of the Bible tour originally, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
'94.
Yeah. No, we went all in. We had to go all in. Otherwise, it would have just. And it was, it was a tough thing to do. It did feel like it was a last throw of the dice with the Holy Bible. And but we did look at each other at times and think, can we, should we be doing this? We thought we were all then at 44, 45, it seems like we, and it kind of all came together when James got the sailor suit on for me. Then it made sense.
But how much of a kind of duty of care is there, do you think, in playing those songs, and also to you, Kieron, how much duty of care is there in filming those songs? Because you can, you see the intensity in the people's faces. That's not, that's, you have to, you can't fuck that up, can you?
No, I mean, the thing about the filming of it, there was no real intention to make a concert film. It was to record it. And I don't think there was any real plan at the start. It only started coming together when the guys did a North America kind of tour, and they wanted a little snippet of footage from the tour just to stick on, just to do the promotion. And then when I cut it together, there was something magical about the footage and something about the sound. And I think Dave Ehringer had done a mix of, I think, Revol, and it just sounded amazing. It just sounded, and the footage just seemed to work with the track. So I kind of like said to Wyatt, I just went, I think we might have something, and leave it with me for a bit, about 2 years. Because basically, you know, we just did it. We didn't get paid or anything like that. We just did it. I basically, poor old editors, Robbie and Sam, who did an amazing job. I mean, they used to work with me on other projects, and so they would kind of do like a day here and a day there, and they'd send me the cut, and I'd say, harder, faster, not like Draft Punk or anything like that. But you know, I was trying to encourage them to kind of like get into it a bit more, lose themselves in it. Just don't follow editing rules.
Get into Intense Summon of Evil.
Yeah. I think quite hard, long and hard about who should edit that one, which was Rob.
It was quite a collage approach, wasn't it? Just
Yeah.
layer upon layer, came month by month.
Yeah.
Which was I think it was a good way of doing it, because I just like, you sent me a clip once and it was literally 20 seconds of me just tapping my foot, you know, but to the beat and everything, and it just felt really kind of stimulating.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was like, you know, I spent a lot of time following your feet.
I know.
And
Those Puma Clydes.
I know, I loved them. They were great. They looked good on film. But you know, the thing about it was that what was, I suppose, quite thrilling about it as a filmmaker is there was no second chance kind of thing. So it was just me and a camera. I did cheat a few times, and I did bring a second camera, which I caught on a tripod. But that was hilarious as well, because it was like I would rig it up, and then basically I had to keep running back to make sure is James in shot on that one, or is Wired on that. So a couple of those Puma shots are actually accidents because the camera fell down on the floor. Or like somebody had come on stage like Rich, the bass tech guy, had knocked it down, and that was the reason why. But I thought, oh, that's quite good. That's quite that's quite good. Yeah, I'll take that. That's good.
And the mix by David Ringer is spectacular. There's we've had lots of live tracks in the past and stuff, but Him and James really worked, and it was really important to get the crowd that wave from the crowd, you know, vocally, and the kind of desperation back and forth. You can really lose that in live albums a lot, but it's just, you can really feel the movement of the music. It kind of sounds like an Albini production, you know. It's just got that amazing rawness. And we did play like Demons, you know. We did really, there wasn't much chat afterwards, after the gig, because we were really exhausted every night.
Well, also, if I remember it rightly, I went to the Roundhouse gigs, and James, I think it was the night there was the main audio was being recorded, and James had lost his voice. So that I think is James, you know, probably with a shot of steroids or something, and you know that's a kind of, you know, not an under par James, because he doesn't sound under par, but it's like that's him without, you know, full capacity. The kind of the wildness and the kind of rawness of it is actual, you know.
Yeah, we recorded the 3 nights, but the third night was the best and the most spectacular. So, and he was really worried, because we don't do 3 gigs on the trot anymore at all, but we did for some reason on this when we're doing two sets. But he did wake up in the morning and you know, thinking about cancelling it, but he rose to the occasion. The boy did well. I mean, I was sat there then listening to the soul of Archives of Pain, and just still blows me away. It's just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
I really remember from back in the time, back when it was being edited together, and I was thinking, just the idea that, I remember when the Mausoleum video came, I was like, I could put that out, that could be a hit. And like, what the fuck is that? It's so delusional. Like, it's big. Oh, it's good work. It's good work.
A feel-good hit of the summer.
So one of the things that I really noticed on that was how few camera phones there are, because you notice it when there's a couple of camera phone shots in Revol, I think.
Wankers.
But I like the fact that's in, because it suddenly makes you think, hang on a minute, everyone is there in the room in the moment.
Yeah.
There aren't loads of camera phones in the air, which any gig you go to, it's people actually, they stayed. They stayed in the zone.
What was amazing is like a lot of the front row were all still using cameras, digital cameras. I'm not sure if you see them, but sometimes they've all got them around their wrist, and they're kind of like battling between kind of losing themselves in the song and trying to get a shot. And I was like, they're kind of like doing that, and then they kind of give it up. And I'm glad they did, because it's like, it's don't look through a screen, just be part of it. I mean, that was apart from a couple of people raising their camera phones, one in front of the front of house camera that I put up, which was really fucking annoying. It was great, because that's.
You've been working with the Manics for too long. It's so bitter about everything. you used to
could have painted it out, No, but you kind of realise that people. I think that was the other thing, was like people were not looking at phones. They were really like their eyes were glued to the stage, which just made you kind of like you could observe faces and you could shoot in a slightly different way on a very long lens for one of the shows, and you could just shoot all the way down. There was just nobody kind of like blocking you off with a fucking camera phone. The faces were amazing and intense, and I was just amazed that they all knew the words to the samples and everything like that, and the Margaret Thatcher booing and all that kind of thing. It was great. It was like, I've got some in here. I think I've got some in.
And I guess really when the album was released, we only played maybe 5 or 6 songs at most every night from the Holy Bible. It's not like we ever played them all at once. We didn't punish people that much back then. And obviously there's kind of home videos of it and bits and bobs, but there's not a huge amount of, there's not many versions of Intense I'm in of Evil available to watch. It's quite funny that the difference. I was thinking back today that night when Richie was, when we were playing Cardiff Story or something like, he'd never even had a mobile phone or a computer. Just seemed really, just took me back a bit really, thinking how that's such a difference. His lyrics were kind of, he was almost working as a historian, I guess, just going to libraries and books and magazines, just doing all that research, and pronto print in Cardiff to photocopy loads of stuff.
But it's interesting because at the time some of the lyrics were kind of, a lot of the lyrics were oblique and kind of historically referenced. Like If White America has lots of things that are talking about things that were the past at that point. The Brady Bill and things like that. It's like, what the fuck are they now? It's like 20 years on, 30 years on now. It's like, it's kind of, they're, very, very strong. The references are so, they've become so strange now, like kind of alluring and weird
No, it does seem very frozen in time in some respects. And I remember the kind of annotations and the notes that, because there were times I was like, well, I just don't know who you're fucking talking about right now. Who is this dictator in Hungary? Who are you? Please explain. So, and that, as you said, now it's even more in the distance. And I was thinking about that, like I said, with his big piece of technology was his portable typewriter, which was a typewriter with a handle. There was nothing portable about it. It was fucking massive.
So I mean, it's also, it was just, Kieron mentioned Oasis earlier, and it's interesting that both Bible and definitely maybe came out on the same day, and they kind of, you know, two very, very different visions of Britain at the arse end of Thatcherism. You know, you've got a, it's, you know, it's quite, it's funny that that anniversary falls together, you know, and then, you know, both things got classed as Britpop in a strange, which, you know, it's hard to draw the line, isn't it?
Well, to be honest, neither were, because Oasis were much more a rock band anyway, you know, and strangely, during the recording of the Holy Bible, Richie and James went to see him in TJ's, and thought they were fucking brilliant. Richie was, thought they were amazing, and I remember in the Enemy, there was a piece on Oasis the week before, and the journalist had just said, "Oh, yeah, some of the Manics are coming. They're really looking forward to it." And Liam just went, "What, for a fight?" No, they want a night out. But, I mean, I think we were on our third album by now. That's the other thing I was thinking was obviously 92 double album, Generation Terrorist, 93 Gold Gains, so 94 Holy Bible. We were working at a really intense rate. We were on the verge of being dropped by the record company. Holy Bible did not help that cause at all. It feels like such a different, our landscape I think had been informed as well by a lot of touring in Europe, you know. It had a big influence on us. It's the album is a mix of internal and external sort of rejection of humanity, which had been informed by a particularly terrible tour of Germany in '93, when on our days off we had, rather than being the usual rock and roll show, we had gone to Dachau and Belsen. But in a really serious way, because we felt like we had to, and it kind of stayed with us, it haunted us, and it did really influence the making of the Holy Bible. You know, it was just an unexplainable darkness came over us, really, which was always there, but it did have a big influence on it. Mausoleum in particular was that phrase, "no birds," and Intensament of Evil, obviously.
But you said before the recording process was actually one of the happiest that you've...
It was. I know, but just because we were in, you know, a real shit studio in Cardiff, and it was freezing, absolutely freezing cold. It was so cold. The winter part of it, I remember. It was so cold. I borrowed my dad had like a Malcolm Allison, sort of Peter Taylor, suede football manager's coat, and I wore that all the time. It was that cold, and we just really coerced around each other, and you could tell the way Richie's lyrics were going, and James's kind of rediscovering his absolute love of John McGeoch in particular, with Magazine and the Skids, or Susie and the Banshees. You could tell that we were onto something really quickly, really. It started with Comfort Comes, which was a B-side on, I can't remember which single off Gold Against the Soul, but maybe Life Becoming a Landslide, or yep. That was the start of it, and it just really flourished from then on, and I did break James's famous Gibson Les Paul on the first day of recording, which is...
How or why?
I knocked it over. And his girlfriend dumped him on that day as well. So the vibes.
See? Comes back in the end.
But we were in a tiny little studio, and it felt really good. And I feel, you know, I'm glad Kieron did record it all those years later, because there's not a lot of anything in terms of recording the album. There's a couple of crappy pictures that were taken in the studio office, and that's it. There's nothing, and the studio's been knocked down. flats. You know, so there's barely anything tangible from those recording sessions. So perhaps that's another reason why we wanted to get something this time round, that time round.
One thing I wanted to mention is the film only exists in like this form, doesn't it? You've never released it. It's never been streamed. It's not digitally available.
Well, it has been streamed, but that was only during lockdown.
Because to cheer people up.
It's for Ali.
Life is shit. Here you go. No, we just did it for amazing. We did it like for the Welsh version of what would you call it? Like it's just like Alan Angst's website, and we just put it out there. Yeah, I mean, you know, it was COVID, and you know, I did feel obliged to cheer people up. So here you go. But no, it's there's been lots of requests for Blu-rays and I'm not sure, you know, Blu-ray releases and various things.
I sense you're holding out.
Yeah, we're holding out for the big money offer. We're holding out for Universal to just, you know, come along and just take it and put it into like 1,000 cinemas on day one, and we'll take everybody down.
You've got 3 months, three months left for the 30th anniversary. Then it's past. We're on to the 40th. We've got.
Oh, we'll do it there then. No, but you know the thing. You know, I keep on saying that live recording is probably one of the greatest live recordings I've heard, and I've on the last tour as part of the chatter on the bus and all that kind of stuff. We started talking about favourite live albums of all time, and I kind of said this one, even though it's not released yet, James. Like, you know, this is really, you know, it's out there. It's out there, and it deserves to be out.
There's no exit stage left, to be honest.
Okay. I'll take your point. I'm not going to say anything. But, you know, it is, you know, in terms of kind of like a I don't want to say artifact or anything like that, but it's a kind of a record of a moment, a very special moment, and, you know, the recording is so intense and incredible and captures something that, you know, it's not under a blood red sky, let's just say that.
The album.
Okay.
Just row with James about that one.
I know, yeah. Bring it up next time I see him.
Frampton comes alive.
Yeah, that's true as well, yeah, okay.
So,
Don't mention anything else.
well, to kind of wrap things up, what is next for you and Manics and you?
He's got to finish a video tonight for Divine and Paul. He's fucking late.
That is actually true. Yeah, I'm late. I've got to do something quickly for.
No, you're nearly there.
I nearly did. We're doing that, and then we've got Radio 2 in the Park, which is quite an interesting experience. And then there's a whole. Very excited about the next, you know, working on the next record and things. And there's, you know, other bits in the potentially a documentary feature film kind of thing going on, but can't say anything more than that.
Can you say anything about the next record? Or are you going to?
I can say that the songs that I've heard are absolutely stunning and glorious, and there's one particular record, I won't mention the name of it, but I think it genuinely is one of the best songs they've ever wrote.
And that's the one with Nick singing, I believe.
It is. It is.
Intimism goes global.
About time. Why it was going to be big.
Widescreen Melancholia meets Intimate is back. No, yeah. I think people will. Yeah, I think the amazing thing about working with it, and I shouldn't really talk too much about it, but the amazing thing about working with this band is that they're always pushing you forward and pushing the envelope and kind of like challenging you, and it is a real joy it's never a drag, it's always a joy to work with them, because the music that they make and the performances that shows they put on, are, for me as a director, always thrilling, and it always feels great to be part of it. As and also as a fellow Welshman, to be kind of like fighting the cause a bit against the.
Hello.
I'm from Wales, don't you know? No, but
I think I am. We do surprise ourselves at how much kind of energy and that we still have. We are on our 50th record with a lot of other stuff, and we are 55, and we do ache a lot after gigs. And having Kieron around is a massive help for us with all the screens and the projections, and trusting someone who you can. I think it's really important that you can share an aesthetic with someone. It's what kind of makes communication so much easier if you share an aesthetic, because if you don't, you're never going to get a point across to someone. And we can just talk in code, we can talk in words, we can shout at each other, we can scream at each other, just like we do in the band. There's no sense of being offended by anything. It's just a two-way. It might seem quite prehistoric, as Simon Price would say, but we do it the old school way.
we connect.
We connect, indeed.
And that,
And vibe off each other.
that is the vibe.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Go ahead.